Finally, Octopath Traveler 1 is on the PlayStation Store. After 6 years. Bravo, Square Enix. It took you 6 years to realize people wanted that game on the PlayStation, huh? That was so damn smart. I mean, what was the problem there? The game was released initially as an exclusive on Nintendo systems. Fine. On the Switch, exclusive to the Switch. Then it got ported to Steam. And then eventually to Xbox. And everybody was like, why are you choosing the less obvious systems? Why not port it to PlayStation 4 and or 5? What's going on in there? Years went by. No one gave a damn in Square Enix. The world gave a damn, but Square Enix didn't give two shits about it. I was like, nah, I'll just focus on Octopath Traveler 2. And once the game is a year old, maybe a year and a half, and it's got enough fans, and we've made enough money, maybe, if we feel like it, we'll port Octopath Traveler to PlayStation consoles. Something we should have done from the beginning, but, you know, fuck the fans, right? I mean, who gives a shit about the fans? I only care about what the exclusive deals, the bureaucracy of release dates and shit, no. But pleasing the fans? What the hell, man? That's not in our policies and our guidelines, you know. Giving the fans what they want? No way, Jose! I'm Square Enix, I'm arrogant, and I treat customers like shit. So that's what they did. But eventually, 6 years later, you know, we're like, oh, it's been 6 years. People aren't bitching about this anymore because they gave up. So, let's release Octopath Traveler on PlayStation consoles. Now that it's too fucking late. No, I'm kidding, it's never too late to do this, but I don't think the sales are gonna be that high. Because that's a 2018 game. And this version is not a remaster or anything, it's just a release. Not even a port. No, it's just a release. It's just, oh, here's the game for PS4 and PS5. That's right, Square Enix. We love you too. Anyway, thank you. Go fuck yourselves as always, but thank you. You made us wait 6 years. You made fans wait 6 years. Now, are you guys gonna get the game? I'm not. I'm fine with the Switch version. If it was like a big difference, you know, between the Switch and PlayStation versions, I know there's gonna be a graphical difference, right? But the game looks freaking beautiful on the Switch. It performs excellently on the Switch. It's badass in there. No problems, no frame rate issues, no resolution issues. It just looks perfect on the Switch. Didn't even need to be on Xbox, but it's there if you care enough. So, no, I'm not gonna play this. No. I am not buying your game again, Square Enix. Especially not if it's only digital. Is it getting a physical release? Well, bravo, Square Enix. It only took you 6 years to please the fans that you care nothing about. It's hard to get JRPG gamers into Yakuza. You know, because this is a series that's popular and it sold millions worldwide, especially the last two RPGs. But I feel like they cater to a different audience. Even though they're RPGs, they're basically JRPGs. They don't. I mean, a lot of people don't care about the series because they don't. They aren't done in an anime or manga style, and they don't give a damn. I think maybe they aren't visually appealing to them. And they're also like, oh man, they spoil. They already know it's like the Trail series. They spoil the series to you, especially Infinite Wealth. So they're all like, oh, I need to play the others, but the others aren't RPGs. They have strong RPG elements though, but no, they're not RPGs. Now that I'm playing through Kiwami, which is a remake of the first game on the originally released on PS2, no, that's not an RPG. Sure, you have a skill tree. You earn experience that you exchange for points. Well, you get points to increase or learn new abilities, you know, and you equip weapons and accessories, you know, but that's your average equipment system and skill tree system in every single video game nowadays. Even sports games have a skill tree. Car racing games have a skill. Shoot 'em ups. Tetris has a skill. No, it doesn't, but it will. Mark my words. Or maybe there's a Tetris, I don't know, out there with an equipment system. And frogman, every single video game has RPG elements. But no, I wouldn't call this an RPG. The first Yakuza. So I guess people, when they look at the series, are like, man, I played Yakuza Like a Dragon and I want to play the others, but oh man, I heard Infinite Wealth spoils the heck out of you. Yes, it does. And if I go back to the series, I mean, there's just like 7 games if you count 0. 2 more if you count the spin-offs, and then there's Gaiden, there's Ishin, and it's Trails, Kiseki all over again. I get that. But still, I think it's my job as a new fan. I mean, I've been a fan for years, but I didn't become a hardcore fan. So I'm the kind of person who believes in becoming a fan after a few games. I'm not just, there's a lot of people out there like, oh, I love Persona, I'm a big fan of the Persona series, but I've only played 5. Oh, you're a big fan of the Persona series, but you've never played any of the first games, or 3 or 4, just 5, and you're a fan. Yeah, I don't mean to sound like an elitist or anything of the sort, but playing just one game in the series doesn't exactly make you a fan. That's just how I feel though, if you declare yourself a fan after playing just one game in the entire series. Okay, dude, I respect your opinion. But yeah, I'm that type of person who needs to play like 2 or 3 games before I can say, oh, now I'm a fan. So now that I've played 3 games, I'm a fan. And I will continue playing the others, and I'll become an even bigger fan. They're often on sale, by the way. I got these, not sponsored by Sega. Ooh, that'll be the day. Sega paying me. Sega Atlus paying me, to advertise their fucking games. No, I'm not sponsored or anything, but I bought my digital version of Yakuza Kiwami for $5. $5 US. They're often on sale. I think I saw all of them, all the way from Yakuza 1 through 6. Not 0, which is the prequel to the entire series. That wasn't on sale, but the others were on sale. Right now, as of the making of this Q&A, maybe if I turn this into a clip for my second channel, and by the time you see it, the games will no longer be on sale, but look them up if you want to. If you like beat 'em ups with strong RPG elements, excellent storytelling, and mature adult situations, check them out. Check out Yakuza Kiwami. Strongly recommended. Just don't expect it to be a masterpiece, okay? The game is a remake of an old PS2 game, and the remake isn't like it's visually stunning. I mean, but the controls could have been better. The camera could have been better, but they did a great job. I don't know how much money Sega put into this remake, but it turned out to be fantastic. And okay, strongly recommended. So maybe I'll make a video one of these days about focused on the Yakuza series. But I feel like I need to play more, at least 2 more. Maybe Yakuza 1, 2, and 3. And then maybe I'll be ready to make the video. Or maybe I need to play all of them. We'll see what happens. With Yakuza, the series, very recommended. I hate Final Fantasy X too. Why do I hate it so much? Because I've already explained this a million times, but I guess I haven't explained it in a long time. Because see, it's a shitty, embarrassing, cringe-worthy spin-off. I think that's when the series went to hell for me. That marks the demise of the series. And then it was saved with Final Fantasy XII. Well, I guess it was also saved with 11, but I never played it. I don't play MMORPGs. 12 was a great game, but it didn't feel like a true Final Fantasy to me. And then it went off the rails with that. I don't like idols. I hated the fact that one of my favorite JRPG series of all time from when I was young, the intro was pretty much Britney Spears, Yuna playing Britney Spears, in the middle of a stage and singing. Now, when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck am I playing, man? What the fuck did they do to Yuna? And what the hell, man? That's why I hate the game so much. I don't think it's a bad game. I've recognized before that it is not a bad game, but I can't recommend something that I don't like. The goth girl, Pain, right? I don't know much about her, but she seemed out of place, like she didn't belong in that game. And Japanese goth, it's something else. I don't think they understand the true meaning of what it means to be goth. I don't think they do. Like mixing a goth character with some fucking pop idols, like that's just Twilight level of goth. Are the minigames in Eiyuden 100 Heroes really that bad? No. They're actually quite fun. I just hate the fact that to recruit 3 characters, you need to play a shit ton of them. Versus a lot of characters, a lot of NPCs. And that's annoying. It shouldn't have been that way. But no, the games are annoying. The cooking minigame is fantastic. I love it. The card game, it's okay. But the spinning game, the Beyblade game, it isn't bad. But it's like I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I pulled through, and I recruited every single character. They aren't bad, man. They're just, forcing mini games on the player to recruit all characters and get the true ending, And wow, it's not just 3 mini games. It's like 10,000 of them. 20 matches of Beyblade. Why? Was Murayama really such a big, die-hard fan of Beyblade? Jesus Christ. But, there's always the possibility that they may have done that on purpose to increase the length of the game. It's a pretty short game. If you don't care about the bad ending and a specific character dying, you can beat the game in like 25 hours, actually. It's fairly short. It's an indie game. Okay? Yes, they got $4.5 million put into it. Half of that went to the fucking assholes who translated the game. I don't know how much money they got. But if we take into consideration that it's still an indie game, we couldn't really ask for a 40, 50 hour long game, It is a 40 hour plus game if you recruit every single character, like I did. I did over 40 hours. But on my first playthrough, which was like with the bad ending because the game wasn't patched, so I was forced to get the bad ending, I did like 26 hours, and it was it. So I'm pretty sure they did that on purpose. They added a lot of matches in these minigames to get these other characters just to increase the length of the game. It's a cheap way to increase the length of video games nowadays. Because, they don't want people to say, oh, it's too short, I didn't like it, it's too short, it's not worth my money. I hate that mentality, But to each their own. People like different things in different lengths. Thank you, Hooflong. He says, when you get a chance, can you do a quick rundown of the combat mechanics of 13 Sentinels? It looks chaotic. The combat mechanics in 13 Sentinels aren't that chaotic if you've played any real-time strategy RPGs. You start and it's on real time, that's why it's chaotic. It's like StarCraft, okay? You need to pause the game. How you pause the game is how you bring up anybody's menu and then you get to the side. All you need to do is tell this unit to go defend this area, or to go fight these enemies here, or these hordes of enemies here, and they'll do that. It'll take some time, because they're gonna walk, right? Or some characters are faster than others. Overall, I think the game 13 Sentinels is pretty easy. If you start, I think there's an easy mode. I never played the easy mode, but if it helps, try the easy mode for the first missions, so you can get an idea on what the game's about and how it plays and how it works. So you can get used to it, right? You select your characters. You select your character's actions, and that's all you do basically. Is if you think about it, it's no different from any other strategy RPG, any turn-based strategy RPG. It's just everything is happening in real time. And remember, have you ever played any of the old Final Fantasy games? How the enemy wasn't gonna wait for you. Sure, it's still turn-based, but the enemy was attacking you while you were trying to decide what to do. So this is kind of similar. It's just the same. You're trying to decide what to do in the middle of a real-time combat. It's not that convoluted, it's not that chaotic, it's not complicated. And I think the game, even on normal mode, gives you enough time to really learn the basics and really get used to how it plays and how it's gonna play from now on. Later, near the end of the game, it starts getting challenging, sure, but you get a bunch of characters and there's no permadeath. So don't worry, feel free to experiment and to observe. That game is more about observation. Real-time strategy RPGs are more about observation at the beginning. You need to observe how certain characters behave, and maybe by after 2, 3, 4 missions, you already notice that this character specifically is not great for these types of actions. Like, this character is better to have near the base so they can defend, or this character is better to keep a distance from the enemy so they can heal or they can buff the others. And then you got your attackers. You need to study your characters. You get a bunch of characters per mission, right? And you gotta strategize with that. That's the best way I can explain 13 Sentinels. It's not that convoluted. It's not really a complex game. It's not for everybody because it's still a strategy game. But all you need to do is decide which character is best at what and go from there. You know, always send this character to attack hordes of enemies, or always have a healer not that far away from them, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah. I know it's hard to get into, but once you do, it's a blast. Why do you think Treasure of the Root Dress was the original Octopath Traveler? I'm literally scratching my head, man. Like, what? What? Because of the battle mechanics? Because of the multi-characters? I think Treasure of the Root Dress was more inspired by Saga. And Octopath Traveler was also inspired by the Saga series. So, no, I don't think so. But now I'm starting to see why you're saying that. Okay, yeah, because both games are influenced by the Saga series. Okay. So, no, I don't think Treasure of the Root Dress was the original Octopath Traveler, really. When you start a second playthrough, you do it to experience the story again, or the combat, or what? Usually, when I start a second playthrough, it depends. If the game has multiple routes and endings, obviously I'm starting a second playthrough because of the story. But as if the game doesn't have any endings, I mean, it's gonna be the same no matter what I do, I always give preference to the gameplay. And I've seen myself skipping a lot of cutscenes or scenes just to get to enjoy the combat and the gameplay mechanics and exploring and walking around and the music again, you know, for a second time. But yeah, it depends on the game. Some JRPGs have multiple routes and endings, and I give preference to that. And with those games, I get to kill two birds with one stone, right? Because some of these games with multiple routes and endings have awesome gameplay and awesome combat as well, and it's totally worth it to go through to the game again, just to get a different ending, different routes, different characters maybe, you know, and get to experience the combat mechanics again, and it's a blast again. But games that are like linear, or they only have like one different ending or something, like 90% of the game is the same game no matter what you do. Yeah, if I'm doing a second playthrough, if it's because I want to experience the gameplay again, not so much the story. Although some games are worth experiencing again. Like, I've done second playthroughs on certain JRPGs many years apart. Like, I did my first playthrough was whenever, and my second playthrough was like 10 years later, or 5, 6, 7 years later, right? So I have to experience the story again because I don't remember a lot of things. But that's pretty much my answer to you. You know, it depends on the game. But linear games, even if it's been 5, 6, 7 years, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes I do tend to skip some cutscenes or some scenes, you know, just to get it over with and focus on the gameplay this time. That's how I feel, you know, but the more years pass, the more I focus on the story again. The more I play a second playthrough and I don't skip anything. The more years pass, the less I skip in a story on my second playthrough. Which Star Ocean game do you think had the best graphics for their time? Probably Star Ocean 3. It was 3D. No, I'm gonna say 4. Star Ocean 4 was released in 2009, I believe, or 2008 on the Xbox 360, and then the next year on the PS3. And that was early PS3, Xbox 360 graphics, and they looked fantastic back then. It looks impressive. So I'm guessing 4. Yeah, because 3 had great graphics for its time, and so was 2, but 2 was still kind of in 2D with chibi characters. And back then, everyone was about the polygons and, you know, the big characters, and they looked fucking ugly. Back then, they looked acceptable, you know, but it aged horribly, most of them. Right? So, and as a result, Star Ocean, the second story, aged pretty damn well. But for its time, the best graphics was The Last Hope, in my opinion. They just looked fantastic back then. They looked kind of realistic, a little bit more advanced. They looked kind of like 2012-13 level of graphics, in my opinion. So it was fantastic. Whereas Star Ocean 3, the character models still looked kind of weird, their expressions, their faces, you know, I think this game came out in 2006, but I think they could have done better. Square Enix and Trius could have done a bit better with the graphics in Star Ocean 3. So therefore, Star Ocean 4 had the best graphics for its time, in my opinion.